He was dying. I knew it. The doctors knew it. And somewhere underneath all the hope I was holding on to like a rope over a cliff, Robert knew it too. It was a Tuesday evening in November. The room was quiet except for the machines, and he looked at me, really looked at me, and he said four words that I have not stopped hearing since. He said, "Dorothy, live your life." I smiled. I told him to rest. I squeezed his hand and I looked away because I could not bear what I saw in his eyes when he said it. He was not saying goodbye. He was telling me something he had been too kind to say for 41 years. My name is Dorothy. I am 70 years old, and today I want to tell you about the marriage I thought was good and what I understood only when it was too late to change it about all the living I had quietly set aside. Stay with me. Because what Robert's last words really meant took me a long time to understand, and I think some of you need to hear it today. Robert and I married in 1974. I was 23 years old. He was steady and kind and certain in a way I had never been, and I loved him for it. We built a life, a house in Ohio, 2 children, a routine that ran like clockwork. Robert worked. I raised the children, managed the home, kept everything running smoothly. And somewhere in those early years, without either of us quite deciding it, I disappeared into the life we were building together. Not dramatically, not all at once, the way daylight fades, so slowly you don't notice until the room is dark. I had wanted to teach. Before the children, before the house, I had been studying literature and I loved it with a specific personal love, the kind that belongs entirely to you. But teaching felt complicated with small children, and Robert's job required moving twice in 10 years, and there was always a reason to wait, and I kept waiting until waiting became just who I was. I stopped reading the way I used to read. I stopped writing the small things I used to write in notebooks. I became very good at being needed, and I forgot, slowly, entirely, what it felt like to simply want something for myself. Robert never asked me to do this. That is the part I have had to sit with the most. He never once said, "Give this up." He never stood between me and anything. He was a good man, a genuinely good man. But I gave myself up anyway, quietly, willingly, because I thought that was what love looked like. Because nobody told me that love and disappearance are not the same thing. The last year of Robert's life, I watched him very carefully. The way you watch someone when you know time is shortening and you want to memorize everything. And what I saw in that last year was a man who had lived, who had worked hard, yes, but who had also kept pieces of himself intact across all of it. He still listened to jazz on Sunday mornings, still went fishing twice a year with his brother, still read history books for the pure pleasure of it, still had a version of himself that existed outside of us. I had not done that. I had loved him and our children so completely that I had left no room for a self that was simply mine. And when he said those 4 words on that Tuesday evening in November, "Live your life," I think he had seen that. I think he had seen it for a long time. And it was the most loving and most heartbreaking gift he could give me on his way out the door. He passed 11 days later. The morning after his funeral, my daughter came to stay with me. She made coffee and sat across the kitchen table and said, very gently, "Mom, what do you need?" And I opened my mouth to answer her, and nothing came out, not because I was too sad to speak, but because I genuinely did not know. After 41 years of knowing exactly what everyone else needed, I had no idea what I needed. I did not know what I liked for breakfast when no one else was choosing. I did not know which chair in the living room was mine. I did not know who I was when nobody needed me to be anything. That terrified me more than the grief. And it was in that terror, sitting at my own kitchen table, unable to answer my daughter's simple question, that Robert's 4 words came back to me. Live your life, Dorothy. And for the first time, I understood what he was really saying. He was not telling me to move on. He was not telling me to be happy. He was telling me that somewhere underneath 41 years of loving everyone else, there was still a life that was mine, and he had seen it going unlived for a very long time. I sat with that until it cracked me open. What is my life? Not our life, not the children's life, mine. What did I always want? What did I set down so long ago that I forgot I was still carrying the loss of it? I want to share with you 4 things I have learned from Robert's last words, from the years since, and from looking honestly at 41 years of a life I loved and also in some ways lost myself inside. 4 lessons I wish I had known at 30, at 40, at 50, before it was too late to live them differently. The first lesson is this: a good marriage does not protect you from disappearing inside it. We talk about bad marriages when we talk about women losing themselves, the controlling husband, the unhappy home. But I disappeared inside a good marriage, a loving one. And nobody warns you about that version because it does not look like a problem from the outside. If you are a woman who has given everything to your family, who cannot quite remember the last time you did something purely because you wanted to, I want to say this gently. You can love your people completely and still keep something for yourself, not instead of them, alongside them. That something is not selfishness, it is survival. And without it, one day you look up and the person you were is very far away. The second lesson is about the things we postpone until we are ready. I was always going to go back to teaching, always going to read more, always going to take that trip, sit with myself long enough to remember who I was, always going to, never quite did. That moment does not come on its own. You have to choose it. In the middle of the busy, the tired, the not quite right time. Whatever you have been postponing, please do not wait. This time, right now, is the only time you are certain of. The third lesson came to me about a year after Robert passed, when I finally opened the box of notebooks I had kept before we married. I sat on the floor of my bedroom and I read what I had written at 21, 22, 23, and I met someone I had forgotten. Someone curious and opinionated and full of ideas about books and life and what it meant to be a woman in the world. She had not died. She had just been waiting. It is never too late to go back for the self you set aside. She is not gone. She is in the notebooks, in the old photographs, in the specific joy that rises when you do something that was always yours. Go back for her. She has been waiting a long time and she deserves to be lived. The fourth lesson is the one Robert gave me, the one that cost him everything to say and cost me everything to finally hear. Tell the people you love the truth while you still have time. Robert saw me disappearing for years, and he was too kind or too uncertain or perhaps too afraid of hurting me to say, "Dorothy, you have set yourself down and I am worried you will not pick yourself back up." I wish he had said it. I wish someone had said it. And so I am saying it to you today. If you see yourself in what I have described, If you have been slowly, quietly, lovingly giving yourself away for so long that you are not sure what is left, please hear this as the thing someone who loves you would say if they knew how. You are not too old, you are not too far in, you are not too settled or too tired or too anything. You are exactly where you are. And from exactly where you are, you can begin. I take a literature class now on Thursday mornings at the community center. I am the oldest one there by 20 years, and I do not mind at all. I read more than I have since I was 23. I write in notebooks again. Nothing important, nothing for anyone but me. And sometimes on a Sunday morning I put on jazz, the kind Robert used to play. And I sit with my coffee and I think about 41 years of a life I am grateful for and also now honest about. He was a good man. We had a good life. And his last gift to me was 4 words that finally gave me permission to find out who I was when I was living it for myself. Live your life, Dorothy. I am trying, Robert. I promise you. I am finally trying. If this has touched something in you today, please leave a word in the comments below. I read every one. Share this with a woman you love who has been living for everyone else for a very long time. She needs to hear this. And please subscribe to The Last Lesson. I will be here every week with the honest things that matter most. Take care of yourself. You have earned that more than you know.